improv theater. So we are extremely excited to do this. There's been not a lot of sleep and a lot of, blood, sweat, and tears over the last 6 months to make it work, but we're super excited.
Yes, you might have noticed there was a pandemic, so I'm sure any plans had a little extra level of intensity and a little extra, sweat and kind of, weighing the decisions as we all have had to do. But you do improv, so you lead with yes and, right?
Correct. It's we're leading with improv and saying, okay, yes, this is a good idea, and how can we build off of it? Our true founder, Andrea, came to the founding group in about October and was like, let's think about post-pandemic. We've spent this whole time figuring out how we're going to continue to serve our community during the pandemic with Zoom shows and Zoom classes, but it's time to start thinking post-pandemic. What about this idea of trying to find a location and really hitting the ground running? And in improv fashion, we were like, yes, that's a good idea. And where are we going to find this place? Just taking that yes and life to everything.
That's and that I know a lot of people I know who do improv speak that way about it, and it's sort of a core tenet of the practice itself and the art form. So we know a little bit about the future now that you're going to have a new location. Tell us a little bit about the founding of Happy Valley Improv.
Yeah, so the founding came about because Andrea McCloskey, our wonderful, fearless founder, and probably one of the best human beings I have ever met, and I believe most people have ever met. If you don't know Andrea, you need to get to know Andrea. She's just amazing. And she ended up going to an improv comedy camp that they hold every year in East Stroudsburg, PA. And this camp is ran by the same people who run a very similar camp in the LA area that I went to when I lived out in California. So when they found out that she was at Penn State, they were still connected with me and knew that I had just recently taken a job at Penn State. They said, hey, Andrea, send an email to this James Tierney guy. He'll want to do improv. And, it was kind of fate because I had been searching for the first year that I was here for some sort of improv. I had emailed people in Altoona. I'd emailed the student groups and didn't really find anything until I got this email out of the blue from Andrea that said, hey, let's do some improv. Let's play together. And we found Sam and Nate, and that was in 2016. Our first meeting was the day after the 2016 election. So we had a lot to talk about and a lot a lot of joy to bring.
Yeah, absolutely. So currently, over the past year, you have done a lot of performances over Zoom. And I know that for the festival this year, you're going to be put it in a place where people can maybe glare. Okay. You'll be doing an event. There are your faces down there. You'll be doing an event for the festival this year. Can you tell us a little bit about what that performance is going to entail?
Yeah, so we are going to have 3 different groups go up. We're going to have Alone in a Church, which is our founding group. So that's Nate, Sam, Andrea, and I. We're going to have He Said, They Said, which is another one of our house groups, which is myself and Don Rosenbaum. So it's just a duo group. And then we're going to have the rest of the company members do a company montage, which is just getting a suggestion from the audience, just doing a bunch of different scenes. Each one of those sets will be about 20 to 25 minutes. And then right after that, we'll have our nice 60 to 70-minute show for everyone to watch. So it'll be fun. We'll have Jason Brown producing it, hosting it. So it'll be awesome.
Wonderful. Jason's known to many of us in the local region. He's wonderful and great to work with, I know. So what does it mean when you say long form improv? Give us a little bit of background for those of us that don't know.
Yeah, for sure. So short form improv. So we'll back up a little bit. Yeah. Short form improv. A lot of people have seen Whose Line Is It Anyways on TV, the British TV game show that came to the US, where they're short 3-minute, and there's usually a game involved. Like there's props involved, or it's a one-liner, or you have to do it in a British accent, something like that. Long form improv is a bit more free flowing, and as the name indicates, it's a bit longer. Usually it'll start with a single suggestion at the top of the scene, and then you're doing a play for 20 minutes to I've seen teams go on for over an hour. There are different forms within long form. So one of our teams does what's called a herald, which ended up being created in the 1960s in San Francisco and blah, 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 a bunch of historical improv that people don't want to hear about. But really, that's like creating a sitcom. And that's where a lot of sitcoms are based off of, which is having 3 distinct sets. And then how do they kind of come back together? Seinfeld is the most famous sitcom that kind of tried to follow that Herald format their entire, 8 seasons. So that's what long form improv is, all made up on the spot and super fun.
Yeah. So there is some structure to it in the sense of everyone sort of has a plate, a skill, something they're bringing to the table in essence. And so tell me about what do you have rehearsals? What is your process for getting ready for a show?
Yeah, so at Happy Valley Improv, we have a training center. So we have 4 kind of classes that we have everyone who wants to be in the company go through to start the very foundations of this is how you build a scene brick by brick. And you start with agreeing and you start building that. And then the second level, we'll get into characters, because as fun as it is for you and I to do a scene, it's much more fun if I come out with some sort of character, right? It makes people be more memorable. And then level 3, we talk about how do we really gift to our partners, right? There's a big difference in an improv scene if I come out and I say, hey, Sam, I'd love to buy this pizza, versus me coming in and being like, Sam, this frozen pizza, there's 4 of them in this box. What do I do with them? Right. So learning how to make better declarations, learning how to gift your scene partner is what our level 3 class is. So we kind of put everyone through that training program. And then we also, as a group, as the 13 company members right now, we practice every single Thursday night, and we've done every single Thursday night during the pandemic, except for holidays, on Zoom, where we really just, work on characters. Okay, let's tonight everyone try to work on really big characters. Let's work on small characters. Let's work on projecting. Let's work on, one-liners. Who knows what it is, but you're just working on those different chops. It's acting, but without the script.
Yeah. And there's a lot shared, improv is used a lot in training for actors, and it has a lot of, of course, shares the same tenets. But would you say that it's true that comedy is at the core of what you're doing and what you are bringing to the performance?
Ooh. So let me make sure. So I don't know if Sam Tanner's watching this, but the core thing of improv is to not try and be funny. Yeah. And you can do dramatic improv. In fact, we had a team right before the pandemic that was called Dinnerware, and our plan was to try and put on improvised dramatic plays. Now, the thing is, when you're making up something for 20 minutes, you're going to mess up and you're going to break and the audience is going to break. That's the cool thing about doing improv, is it's going to lend itself to humor, because you're going to say something wrong or you're going to forget a detail. And that just is funny, because when you're watching improv, the audience is a part of it and they're having this experience together and they're with you. And all of a sudden you make a mistake and they're like, oh, that was funny. It's so much. So the core of improv is to try not to be funny. Now, when you're doing improv, there are things in place that make it funny, and you can make big character choices. So when you're entertaining for a show, I would expect, if I'm going to an improv show, to be entertained and to laugh. And so that's what we bring at Happy Valley Improv. But we're one of the good things about having our own location now is we can experiment with other things, right? We can have serious Sundays or something and just do completely serious improv. So
alliteration is absolutely required.
You have to. If you don't have alliteration, how do you own a theater without alliteration?
Yeah, and you speak to something that's at the core of all art forms is an authenticity and honesty. I mean, it is an honest performance, and so whether it's intended to be funny, not trying to be funny, but actually being true to the human condition, the human characters, really coming with it with a sense of truth is imperative for any art form. And, I think it's important, especially, improv, acting, some of the arts that cannot really happen without an audience present. I know that you've been doing shows over Zoom. but there is the energy. We were talking about that last week with Shannon, that the audience is very much intended to be a part of the performance and of the action. So we look forward to having Happy Valley Improv once again be live in our community. So I want to make sure that we understand a couple of the skills that you use in improv. And if you can give us just a couple rules, I think you spoke well to the idea that it has to be true and honest.
Yeah. So on our website, we actually have we have these 5 tenets that we came up with of what we try to bring to our improv community. And really, the main one is believing in the truths that have been established by the collective. So when Elaine comes on stage and says, "Grandma, thanks for bringing me my umbrella," like, I need to fully be immersed in the art form and believe that I am a grandmother and I have an umbrella and I'm here to bring my grandchild an umbrella. And then I can take 2 ways at that, right? I can be a non-supportive partner and say, "I'm not your grandma, Elaine, and this is a cane." And I'll get a laugh. People will laugh and be like, "Haha, it's funny." But that scene isn't going anywhere. You've completely destroyed the energy and you're not building anymore. So, the better choice, and what we tell our level 1 students, is you say, "Yes, and there's a hole in this umbrella. So I don't think we should go out in this hurricane." And now I've put a new brick down and I've said, okay, I've established more truths. The umbrella's broken and there's a hurricane. And once you do that, the audience is like, "Oh man, why are they in a hurricane? How is there a hole in this umbrella? Why is this grandmother and grandson, daughter, who knows, together?" Right? And so it's really just about having a connection, listening, agreeing, and supporting everyone else on stage. That's what makes a great improv. You don't have to be funny. You don't have to be quick-witted. We get so many people who are like, "Man, I would love to do an improv class, but I'm just not funny." And I say, you'd be the best improviser in that class. Because the worst person that comes into that class who thinks they are so funny, and the first thing they do is they get up on stage and they, say some dirty joke, or, they're making fun of people. And you're like, that's not what this is about. This isn't a stand-up class. If you want to take stand-up, we'll offer those too. But this is improvisation.
Right. And there is a difference. And that's it. Thank you for clarifying that. So if folks want to find out more information about Happy Valley Improv, I believe if I'm gesturing, it's right about there. And this is where you would find that information, including those tenets of the basic principles of improv that Happy Valley Improv themselves adheres to and supports throughout our community. Well, James, it has been a pleasure to speak to you today. Is there anything else that you want to remind folks about what Happy Valley Improv means?
It just means that, we want to get back together. Improv is about being together. It's about enjoying. And what we're going to do with the new theater, with the Blue Brick Theater, is if you go to the website, bluebricktheater.com, and sign up for the newsletter, we will mail you a free ticket to one of our shows. Opening weekend, we hope, is July 9th and 10th, depending on, CDC and PA health guidelines. So get vaccinated. 12 through 15 is now good. So we can have some summer camps. We can get back to enjoying art and having a beautiful downtown State College community. So thank you so much, Elaine, for having me.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. And thank you at home for joining us today and watching live at 1. Don't forget that you can support the Central Pennsylvania Theater and Dance Fest through centergives.org through tomorrow at 9 p.m. And I believe there are some other organizations on there that you're going to want to support as well. James, it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you around the neighborhood, I'm sure. Thanks, everyone. Bye.